I know you've been in the field for a couple of years. So did you start in COVID, like when COVID
Yes,
was going on? So could you describe
I'm a
how?
COVID baby CSI. Yes. I
Yeah, but
started
You're
January
in
2020.
Florida, so I feel like I don't know if COVID hit Florida, how COVID hit everybody else. So could you describe how I guess one starting in COVID and two starting in COVID in Florida? Just because I know COVID had, I'm in New York, Nitty's in Philly. COVID had this is a little more lax with the regulations, I'll say. So could you describe how I guess that was and just starting out in COVID?
Yeah, I'll say I technically my start date was in December. It was probably about a couple months hiring process, but I didn't start till January 7th. So here I am. I'm so excited. I had just gotten into the relationship now that I'm in. And I'm like, wow, I got the dream job. I got my dream boyfriend. This is great. And then
Right,
March 2020 comes around. I'm like, the gears stop. I'm phase three. Everything's going, and then the whole city shuts down. And
right.
we ended up pretty much having to cease a lot of smaller calls and burglaries and things like that and leave it strictly up to patrol because of just how dangerous it was to be out to limit our
Mhm,
exposure. So it took away a lot of my training exposure and getting cut loose a couple months after that in the middle of COVID. It just added this extra fear because I'm always hyper vigilant of one, the surroundings, two, whatever narcotics are on scene. Of course, fentanyl is
mhm.
always a huge issue. And as a newbie, I was always I just have the most irrational fear that just gonna come across fentanyl and drop. Just something that I've always had in the back of my head. I know it's not,
Yeah,
that doesn't happen every day, but being new and hearing about, especially now, I know in Florida, fentanyl is a really, really big issue and across the
uh-huh.
United States. So I'm thinking, oh no, I'm worried about drugs. I'm worried about the environment. And now I'm worried about, is this house COVID infected? Am I going to bring COVID home to my family? So it was a lot of scaling back. We did a lot more processing and I was able to work on my in-lab work, but it was weird to see the city so low volume because everyone was locked down. And then over the past year or so, everything's just ramping up. And it's scenes that I've never had exposure to, now I'm having exposure to. And I'm like, wow, it's been like 2 years. Court, I still, believe it or not, I have not testified in court yet because all
Uh,
of the cases happened in the middle of COVID and
all
now
right,
I'm starting. So now I'm getting subpoenas and now I have my trial appearances. And it's just like everything now is coming at once,
right,
especially
right,
since
right.
Florida kind of came back to life a little quicker than the rest of the United States.
That's a good
It
way to put it.
started out of nowhere, just like our holidays and our busy days that a lot of my coworkers are like, oh, we get a ton of calls that day. I'm just like twiddling my thumbs, like, where are the calls? And then
Mm,
now I give it a year and now we're running around crazy.
I
So it was
feel.
just a different environment, that fear of the unknown. Bad enough we have that in law enforcement and in forensics, that added like a new layer of just being careful, wearing your PPE, being aware of your surroundings, and working with victim suspects and officers too. I was fortunate. I did not catch COVID until this year when was with family. So nothing, no work
Right,
exposures, no nothing. And our unit's been good about just making sure everyone stays put, stays home. So we didn't come and do that because our fear is what happens when the whole unit goes down? What happens when everyone gets COVID?
Yeah.
And we
right.
never wanted that reality and never wanted to do that to the community either. That would be a disservice. So we all just try to be responsible and take care of ourselves. And we were good about masking up and just protecting our loved ones and the community, which is, it's great to see that we were able to do that.
Yeah.